It's happened time and again, sir. Any other questions on a completely different subject, or that's something? Yes, sir.
Sure. If you get voted on in Congress, would you vote to privatize Social Security?
The question was about privatization of Social Security. Incidentally, a question that is part of Baron Hill's talking points right now. He has indicated that somehow I am supportive of privatizing Social Security. I would say this. What I actually support is making Social Security sustainable. If what you're doing is you are spending far more money than you take in as a government, you're setting yourself up for tax increases in the future and cutting government benefits in the future. So really what you're doing is setting yourselves up to cut programs like Social Security. So no, I want to make them sustainable. If we can find a way to do that and also help grow people's Social Security receipts so that they're more than a negative rate of return, I think that would be the best thing to do. But you're going to get a negative rate of return if you've got to pay off all these debts that Baron Hill has supported. You know, you're going to have to divert money from somewhere, and Social Security would be a natural target. So what I support is fiscal responsibility so that we don't have to do that.
When it was passed, I believe in 1935, the bill says general fund, that automatically made it available to pull money out there for other things and substitute the fund.
This gentleman, you're making another good point, sir, and I'm going to amplify it here for the benefit of everyone. But Social Security, as so many of you know, is a Ponzi scheme. We pay our payroll taxes, and it says, okay, well, that's going to Social Security. I must have an account up in Washington that has my name on it. Well, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, they've been raiding that account for years and just putting IOUs in the, it's kind of a creepy name, the Social Security Trust Fund. So the money's not there. It continues to be depleted, and we're going to face a situation here before the too distant future. We're going to have to make some hard decisions about taxes, about cutting other areas of government, about returning powers to lower, I hesitate to use lower, other levels of government, pushing power from the federal level to the state level, to try and reduce the amount of expenditures at the federal level of government so that we still have money for these programs like Social Security. Yes?
You stated something about the small business people. And what I get from a lot of small business people is that they have to pay so much to the government and are required to have so much stuff that it's hard for them to even function. They can't go off and hire one or two people to increase their business, which would put people to work.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I just know what business here because I'm Tennessee. That if I could just, if there was a relief that I could hire somebody, I can make more money and have somebody work to do it and do more business. But I can't do all the business I can get because I can't do it, and yet I can't afford to hire somebody because of all this, the government.
The question is about small business, and small business people find themselves in a pickle right now. And let me talk about some of the forces on here and that are eating away at the bottom lines and making it tough to stay in business right now. It's something that certainly hit my family pretty hard. You know, one of the things, we see less access to credit by small businesses. I've been paying my loans off on a regular basis for years and years and years, but I just can't get a bank loan, right? That takes us all the way back to the financial crisis that we experienced in recent memory, and a lot of that was created by government. So I'm going to you give me something to tee off on here, Mary, maybe stand for a while. I'm sorry, I'm a political candidate, so. You know, first we have this thing called the Community Reinvestment Act. And essentially this was a well-intentioned piece of legislation like so many of them. It required that more people have access to mortgages. so they could own a home. Well, we've seen that backfire in recent months. Essentially, if you look at it differently, it required bankers to make loans to people that they might otherwise not make them to. There were credit risks. And then many of these risky loans were sopped up. They're guaranteed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which means they're guaranteed by all of us, because these are government-sponsored entities. Then they were sopped up by large New York investment banks and sold to others. These investment banks got a lot of profit out of them, and they became very big. Very, very big, so much their economy depended on a lot of these banks. They were too big to fail.
Right.
And ultimately, we saw the people on Wall Street holding the bag. Now, small businesses seem to be bearing the brunt because so many of them, to pay their operating expenses, and farmers have been doing this for years. My dad's been doing it for years. You take a short-term note, and you always pay it back consistently after you sell your capital equipment, in his case. Well, small businesses are where the jobs are created in this country. So they're the key. If we don't create a good environment for small business growth, or creating a business or expanding an existing business, the economy is not going to start moving. The other thing business people crave is certainty. You got to, before you invest in anything, and you folks know this, you first got to kind of have some idea of how much you're going to make and what costs you're going to be able to experience in the future. And if you've got government passing big government schemes like cap and trade taxes or health care mandates, we're still trying to sort out exactly what the costs of those programs are going to be. So that's not exactly what you want to do if you want to grow jobs. And then finally, we've seen that taking money out of the capital markets for stimulus plans, government job programs, pork barrel spending, a lot of that was spent. That doesn't create jobs. We saw that in Japan. They had something called a lost decade back in the 90s because they kept trying this. They kept trying to stimulate growth through the government. It just didn't work. And then we look to our own country back in the Great Depression era. I talked about this a little earlier. But recent scholarship shows that the New Deal didn't help people out in the long run. It really kept the Great Depression and sustained it. It made it drag and drag and drag. It would have been a down recession, a bad recession, but it wouldn't have sustained on for quite so long. So I think there's some lessons here. Constitutionally limited government works. Freedom works. The private sector creates jobs if you give them a little bit of certainty. And then the government should, once you establish secure property rights and individual liberty and access to bank capital, get the heck out of the way.
Bring back people's law.
Yes, sir.